Hey guys, Samia here, wedding and portrait photographer, and today I'm bringing up the touchy subject for wedding photographers of blogging. That thing we all stress about, we all know has to happen. It's always the last thing on your to-do list. We're gonna have this conversation, we're gonna talk about it, my thoughts, everything about it in this video. So if you're here and you're a wedding photographer, make sure to hit that like button and we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing, the key to blogging is to how to think about blogging as part of your workflow. So for years, what I would do is I would have a season full of weddings or a season full of a lot of shoots or engagement sessions. And then in the off season, I would think about blogging and updating my portfolio, which would mean a lot of the time I'd have to go back into Lightroom catalogs, back into editing, back into exporting and all of that. And it was always a mountain that kept getting bigger for off season, and it was never a part of my workflow until I made it part of my workflow. So I really think the key to blogging and keeping your blog healthy in a way and up to date is really in making it part of your fluid workflow in the same way that delivering photos to your clients is a must-have in your workflow. So I do go over this in more detail in my post-wedding workflow that you guys can check out, but I just wanted to show you briefly what I mean by that. So this is my Excel or Google sheet that I use to stay organized, and it's what happens. This is my post workflow. So after each shoot or after each wedding, everything is populated into this sheet. So this is like a wedding engagement session. This is a live running thing of what's going on in my business. So I just wanted to show you this really quick because backing up, culling the photos, sending them to the editor, editing them, uploading them, delivering them. Sometimes you have an album, ask for a review, get the review from the client. And then I have blogging as part of that to-do list for each couple. So it's not something that piles up later. It's something that this wedding or engagement session is not complete until I have reached the end, which is delivered the photos to vendors and the blog post has been scheduled. So if you do it like this, nothing piles up for off season, and there isn't really ever an off season where you're doing this grunt work. There's an off season where you're relaxing, you're on the couch, and you're not trying to catch up. So this has done a lot of things, and mainly it keeps my blog live. So the stuff that I'm blogging really were weddings that were recent. So it's my most recent work, and it also that helps me book weddings for the next season, because a lot of times you think you'll blog in off season and then you have all this really fantastic work in your portfolio that you haven't shared yet. And especially with blogging, it takes time to catch up to that SEO traffic. It takes time for Google to realize you're on the radar. So the sooner you can get those blog posts out, the better to get them running into Google and stuff. So this is I just wanted to show you this brief behind the scenes of nothing is done until it's blogged workflow. So I think a lot of what stops us from blogging so much is not that we don't know what we're doing, but we don't know whether or not we should be blogging. And I battled with this kind of concept throughout growing my photography business and it's really the question of what do you showcase in your business. And if you dive into the education field, a lot of people will say only showcase what you want to shoot, or don't share everything that you photograph, and things like that. And it's really an important concept to understand and to decide for yourself in your business what that looks like. There are 3 questions I found in my business that I ask myself that work well with making sure I'm getting the clientele that I want in the future from work I'm putting out, and I'm going to share those 3 questions with you. So the first question is this something I would like to photograph in 5 years? And I think with so many photographers, when they think about the future and they talk about this concept, they think I'm talking about money and does the wedding look expensive? And I'm not necessarily talking about that. I am talking about everything, all things included. If this wedding, if you wanted to shoot something like this in 5 years, is that true? Would you? And if you don't know the answer to that question, you probably need to have a long-term plan for your business and a long-term goal. And if you don't know the answer to that, you probably need to second shoot a little bit more and figure out, where it is you want to go in your business. And that's because you don't get anywhere without a map to get there, right? So if you don't know what to blog, you probably don't know what direction you want to go with your business. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is what's adding to the stress of not knowing what to put out, because you don't know what direction you want to go. So as soon as I took a season of building my business where I said, okay, what kind of work have I done that really resonates with me? What kind of weddings have I shot that I really enjoy shooting? What kind of clientele? What kind of details? What does that look like for me that really lights me up as an artist? And then I was able to answer that question by creating Pinterest boards, vision boards, things for my business of the direction I wanted to go. And then just making sure that what I'm putting out, does it match my overall vision for the future? And I'm lucky that I'm in a place now. And I think as you do this and as you grow in your photography business, you will start to be able to share almost everything that you shoot, because you will start attracting exactly what you want to shoot. So in previous years in my business, I was being very selective about what I was blogging and showcasing, whereas now most of my work is in a place where most of it is what I want to be shooting, which is something that happens when you start being selective. So I hope that's making sense, but that's the first kind of question to ask yourself. Okay, second thing I like to consider is it better than my last wedding from a technical standpoint? And what I mean by that is, as photographers, we are always growing our skill sets. Every single wedding, we're trying to do something a little bit better than the last wedding. And just make sure that, ask yourself this question: is this wedding technically an advancement from other weddings or at the same level? Because if it's, you are having a focusing issue, and you and I know what's actually going on with your technical skills more than our clients and people looking at it. We know what parts of weddings were, hey, that was difficult. And if there's something that was really a problem, or you were trying something and it wasn't working, that would be something that not to blog, because even though it might fit what you want to shoot in 5 years, it's not your best work technically. So you know the line there, but that is something to consider. As photographers, we make mistakes, we're always growing, we're always trying things. Try and make sure that everything you share is on a technical standpoint and up level from the previous weddings that you shared. Okay, so here's going to be your trickiest question to answer, and the question is it a complete showcase, a thorough showcase, start to finish, of what you can do for a wedding? So what I mean by that is, I like to think of a blog as it's the place you're sending new clients. They found you on Google, they don't know anything about you, they're going to their blog, they've found your website through your blog post. So what you're showing, all those photos, does it show start to finish what you do? And what I mean by that is, there are a lot of parts to wedding. There's flat lays details, bride getting ready, groom getting ready, bridal party, ceremony, all of those things. And depending on what kind of photographer you are and what you like to specialize in, you may showcase some of those things, and you may not want to showcase some of those things. But knowing what it is you want to shoot for weddings, like actually not the style that I was talking about in question number 1, but like what it is, like details or lack of details. Maybe you love details, maybe you hate details. Whatever it is, your blog should be a sample every time of what you can do. So if there's a wedding where certain things that you can do, like maybe you're really good at, like I said, details or reception footage or your reception coverage, but this wedding didn't have any details or any reception coverage, then it's not a complete showcase. So people that come to your blog are going to feel like, okay, it's good work, but it's not making your brand stronger and more cohesive, because it's missing stuff. And treat each blog post as, what if this is the only blog post that my ideal wedding client saw? Oh shoot, then it doesn't have details in it. Or oh shoot, she didn't want any getting ready coverage, but I really am good at that, so I can do that. So that's just kind of something to think about. And that is kind of the hardest question to answer, because sometimes we have parts of weddings that are really, really nice, but they're not, full and cohesive weddings. That's where you use them on Instagram in pieces, not in your blog. So that's a lot of information, but that's the last question I would ask myself. So in next week's video, I'm going to be talking about how to actually build in blogging to your workflow, kind of like what I was showing you with that Excel sheet. So subscribe if you want to be notified for that, and leave a comment, guys. Let me know, was this helpful? Or do you have different things you consider when blogging? I'm happy to start this conversation in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. I believe in you and your photography business, if no one has told you lately.